Hey guys, what is up? It's Tuesday and we're back with some Astro Tea. So, I don't know why that was the intro, but that was. So last week I shared the knowledge that I had on the Pisces full moon, and you guys seem to really enjoy and take some benefit from that. So this week I want to spend some time talking about something that is going to rock our world a little bit, but in a good way, because, I think that as long as we know what's going on with the planets, we can work alongside them. Hi, thank you for joining. So, this week with the planet of Mars, the planet of war, going in retrograde, it's going to shake us up a little bit. So, in this talk, I'm going to talk a little bit about what this energy is going to look like for us and some different journaling prompts and ways that I can guide you through helping yourself work through these energies. So, a lot of planets have gone into retrograde in 2020. I don't want to say that that's why this year has been so crazy, but I will say that it hasn't helped. But I think, retrogrades, RE, they're very much for review, restructuring, recalibrating. So it's definitely an energy that's inviting you to revisit some of the things that you need to heal within yourself. And Mars in retrograde is Mars stationing retrograde is no exception to that at all. It's definitely going to have you review a lot of really important factors that are going to help you step into a place of receiving and healing when it goes out of retrograde, which is in November. So this planet going retrograde is going to be from tomorrow, September 9th, until November 13th. And within this energy, I think we all know that Venus is the planet of femininity, of sensuality, of, love and all of the divine feminine things that come within that. So Mars is basically the complete opposite. Mars is masculinity. It's our drive. It's what gets us, it's how we exert our energy into the world and how we find comfort in the way that we exert our energy. So when Mars goes retrograde, its themes are really prominent in our lives, specifically, I just kind of spoke Spanish, specifically for those who have cardinal energy in their charts. So if you have Aries influence, Capricorn, Libra, and I forget which the other one is, but if you have a lot of that kind of influence in your chart, it's going to affect you in a surmountable way. But what I will say is that, Mars being the planet that rules not only Aries, but, war, our work drive, our sex drive, our passions, these are all places in our lives that are going to get recalibrated a bit, revisited. So right now is a time where you might feel a bit fatigued, you might feel a lack of motivation, you might feel kind of like you don't know how to execute a lot of the things that you want to pour yourself into, but that's okay. I think we are being called to rest for a reason. I think that sometimes we want to be strong and we equate strength with a very fiery forward energy, but sometimes strength looks like weakness. Sometimes strength looks like sitting down and crying it out and feeling it out and resting, pausing. So what I will say is that, things feel difficult when you work against the energies. So if Mars in retrograde is making you feel a bit more like maybe I should pause a bit on my projects, then do that, honor that. Don't fight against it, because then that's how you're going to get it blown back in your face. So another thing is that with Mars being the planet of war, it's a really argumentative planet, right? It rules Aries, and Aries are very known for being the rebels of the zodiac, the ones that are always sort of like, they have the megaphone and are chartering any revolution that they see fit. So when it's going into retrograde, we may not feel comfortable in our voice. We may not feel comfortable in our anger. We may jump to arguments very quickly, very irrationally, or we may not feel empowered in our voice to say no or to defend ourselves. So whichever end of the scale that you fall under, make sure that you honor what that energy is for you. If you find yourself being overreactive to things, find out why. Find out what the root of this anger issue that you may have is. Because the thing is that anger, I think we have a negative connotation over anger, but anger can be used and transmuted into passion, and you can put that anger towards things that are progressive and productive and can build something great. So find a way to channel that anger in a way where you are heard in your voice, how you stand in your voice proudly, but where it isn't masked by cloudy emotion. So, and then on the other side of the scale, if you find yourself being someone, and this is kind of me, who has more difficulty standing in their voice and perhaps channeling their anger, find out why that is. Find out why you have that lack of masculinity, that lack of yang energy, that lack of expressing yourself and honoring your self-expression, and work through that. If this is a time to revisit, then let us revisit it. Let us understand it. And oh my gosh, there's so many different places I could go with this. This is a really intense retrograde, guys. And I mean, I know it's been an intense year, but this is all underlyingly serving us to really uproot what no longer serves us, so that when we do step into this new energy, which, there's a lot of other retrogrades going on too, but they all end sort of at the end of the year, basically. So once we do step into 2021, not saying that, the change of the year is going to be the change of everything going on. There's a lot of uprooting, but we're going to be able to step more into our authenticity. So it's important that we uproot and we review all of these things that are being called to be looked at. For us, maybe not feeling the motivation to pour ourselves into the projects that we were doing like before, maybe that's because we need to review, what is it that we're pouring ourselves into right now? Does it resonate with my soul's calling, with my soul's passion? One huge quote that I've been hearing over and over about this retrograde is how to work smarter, not harder. I think a lot of us are finding ourselves, and this is a quote that I got from Bahati Life, who was like an incredible astrologer, and she was talking about this retrograde and saying how it's like sometimes we are those people who are pushing the boulder up the hill, and it's a matter of not, continuing to push ourselves until we are overexerted and we just, fall flat and are drained, but rather finding a way to get that boulder up the hill in a way that is abundant and productive to you and doesn't drain you. So use this energy as a time to reconnect with the value of why it is that you're doing what you're doing. And if you feel like you just want to push through and put out projects anyway, it might blow up in your face. So just take this time to review what you're doing, why you're doing it, how can you do it smarter, how can you do it in a way that not only serves the collective, but even invites more abundance for you. So definitely take the time to do that and tie all those loose ends. Let me check, because I have notes on this, obviously, because I am a scholar. So yeah, a lot of petty arguments could be coming up now because emotions are very, very, very at the forefront, and this can be on a personal scale, but this can also be on a collective scale, I think, and it makes a lot of sense with us going into an election right now, that things might look a bit more argumentative than usual, but just, flow with it and do your best to anchor yourself in your peace and have some sense of control over your emotions, but also be kind to yourself and recognize that you're only human, and if you feel things and you want to express them in a certain way, should honor that and do that. And what else? Think before you react, you know what I mean? Put some logic and some legitimacy into your emotions, and you won't spiral as easily as one would during a Mars in retrograde. Let's see, what else? Yeah, how can you turn frustration into motivation? I think we are going to see such a surge of energy and not knowing where to put it. Because, right, a lot of us could be feeling depleted, especially for cardinal signs, but another bunch of us could be feeling this sense of like, I have anger, I have passion, I don't exactly know where to put it. So instead of, taking it out on the wrong people or taking it out in places that it's not conducive, find a way to channel this anger. If you're feeling passionately about any of the things that are happening in the collective right now, this sense of revolution that's going on, find a way to participate, find a way to channel that energy and channel that anger in a way that is motivating. And what else? Work smarter, not harder is something that I really, really, really want to hone in for you guys. And I have a couple of journaling prompts that are going to invite you to just sort of navigate what Mars looks like for you. Because the thing is that I think I've talked a lot about Venus energy and feminine energy and how the divine feminine and being a goddess is really going to help us step into our power. But it's important that we don't live dual lives, but that we embrace the duality within us. So just as much as we need that nurturing maternal female energy, we need that masculine, that yang energy as well. So find out with these journaling prompts what the yang energy that you need right now looks like for you and how can it serve your greatest and highest good. So the first journaling prompt that I have is how can I stand in and own my voice? And the reason why I would invite you to journal on this is because it's one thing to just have emotions and to spew them out to whoever will listen and to just react on the drop of a dime. But it's another thing to be able to organize how you feel and present it in a way where it'll be received and understood and not compromised. It's not a matter of, quieting yourself so that you can be understood or heard, or shrinking yourself in a place that you probably were bigger than anyway. It's a matter of standing in your voice and owning your voice and sharing your voice in a way that makes sense. So I invite you to journal on that, as well as how can I let my anger empower me? Like I said, there's a negative connotation surrounding anger, and I think it's a matter of how can you let it empower you? How can you let your anger be put towards something that's going to be just conducive to your growth, conducive to whatever it is that you're creating, whatever you're offering to the world. And how can I work smarter, not harder? How can you look at these projects, these, career aspirations that you're building for yourself, and how can you do it smarter? That's it. How can you not, because I think we're all finding ourselves stuck on this hamster wheel, really plugged into the matrix of burning out, of pouring ourselves into maybe stuff that isn't giving us passion, stuff that we aren't passionate about. And so, we're chasing something and we're seeking to attain, when sometimes it's a matter of being and receiving. So how can you work from your gut, work from your soul, and be in a place where you're receiving instead of like chasing and tiring yourself out and burning out and then getting drained and then that whole cycle all over again? How can you work smarter? How can you work from your soul's core? How can you do what's making you the most joyous and still, which I think is Venus energy, but then how can you still have it support you in a smart and abundant way, which is Mars energy? And lastly, how can I anchor myself in my peace? How can you anchor yourself in your peace? I think right now we're going to see some chaotic energy. We're going to see some what could be physically dangerous energy, some destructive, argumentative energy. So how can you make peace your home? How can you harbor peace wherever you are, whatever you're feeling? How can you always make the root of you peace? What does peace look like for you? If there's a lot going on surrounding you, but you know that when you visit the ocean, you are at your most aligned, then make sure that that's something that you consistently keep in your routine, and just make peace your priority. So I think that covers everything. Oh yeah, also alongside our motivations maybe being a bit depleted, our sex drive may be depleted. So if you feel like, where did my libido go? That's just a piece of information that I want to offer you in case it serves you. And yeah, it's an energy that's overall, in summation, it's going to invite you to review, rest, and figure out, how do I channel my aggression? What do I pour myself into? Is it serving me? Is it draining me? Can I do it in a smarter way? Can I do it in a way that isn't going to burn me out? How can I stand in my voice without screaming so loud that everyone is tone deaf, not even, or rather just like they're deaf in the ear and they're not hearing what it is that I'm actually saying? How can I use my voice to get my point across in a way that is well received, but not in a way that compromises my point? And how, of course, yeah, this is something that I haven't mentioned, but it's super important because Mars rules Aries, and Aries is very known for being impulsive. So how can I reel in my impulsive behavior a bit? How can I not spend money just at the idea of liking something? You know what I mean? Just how can I be a little bit smarter with my impulsive decisions? And also, how can I, how can I transmute this energy that I have to something that is, transmute anger into passion, transmute frustration into, work, into something that is tangibly something that's going to serve me. So I'm sorry if that came out in a convoluted manner. Sometimes when I have like the information here, but getting it out is sometimes difficult, especially because I'm very passionate about this stuff, and I know that when you know how the planets are working, you can help them work for you. So know that, there's nothing to be scared of. retrogrades are always serving us. Whatever the planets are doing, it's always to serve our greatest and highest good. So you're fine, you're held, you're protected. Thank you so much for joining, for listening, and you're fine. And if you ever need a one-on-one session with me to learn more about how this could specifically affect you with your chart, you can book that with me. I'm also going to go deep into these energies in my Astro bi-weekly newsletter, so you can sign up for that in the bio, or if you're watching this on YouTube when I upload it later, in the description. And yeah, check out my interview that will be coming out this Sunday on Well World TV, or also on my YouTube and my Instagram at Jasmine Kylene. And I think that's all the promo that I have. So yeah, stay blessed. Goddess Hathor is here with me, so tap into your goddess energy. It'll always serve you. That's all. Bye guys.